ऑडिओ पण येतोय तुमचं.
मिनिमाइज करा.
सर ऍट ए टाइम मी 2 फाईल उघडू शकते का?
हा, फक्त मग 2 वेगवेगळ्या ह्याच्यावर जावं लागेल.
सगळ्या पीडीएफच आहेत सर.
अच्छा, म्हणजे स्टार्टिंगची फाईलही पीडीएफ आहे का?
सगळ्याच पीडीएफ केल्या मी आता.
बरं ठीक आहे. मग पहिली फाईल रन करा.
स्क्रीन दिसतंय का सर?
हो, आली पॅटर्न रिकग्निशन.
अजून एक फाईल बघायची आहे. अजून एक फाईल ओपन करायची आहे मला. हा, ती कशी करायची?
मिनिमाइज करायला परत.
ओके. ठीक आहे सर, आपण सुरू करूया.
हो, एक कॉल बंद करतो मी आणि तिकडे.
Very good afternoon to one and all. We are starting our last session for today. The session will be conducted by Dr. Anjali Bhalchandra and the topic name is pattern recognition, the various case studies. I hand over to Amruta now to introduce me.
Welcome all. In today's fourth and the last session of FDP, Signal Image and Video Processing a Practical Approach 2020. I welcome our today's speaker, Dr. Anjali Bhalchandra ma'am. A short introduction about ma'am. Anjali ma'am is working as a professor at ENTC Department, Government College of Engineering, Aurangabad. She has completed her doctorate in 2004. Her professional memberships are: she is a fellow of Institute of Engineers and a life member of IST India. She has total 34 years teaching experience. Her research status is as follows. She is a principal investigator for analytical studies and algorithm development for detecting buried objects in the sand using the ground penetration radar GPR data by RTE DRDO Pune. She is a principal investigator for Seed Money project embedded system for pattern classification by TechUp Phase 2. Ma'am is recognized PhD guide in Dr. BAMU University, Aurangabad, awarded 6 and guiding 6 still. She is a recognized PG teacher, designation guided 50 plus students. Her administrative experience: she is a Dean Quality Assurance, she is a Head of Department, Dean Student Welfare, Nodal Officer, Academic Excellence in TechUp Phase 1, Admission in charge for the first year engineering, member of Board of Studies and Research and Regulation Committee. She has taken a lot of academic activities also. She has published 88 papers in national, international journals and conferences. Now, I request Anjali ma'am to start the session. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Amrita.
Good afternoon, madam. Sabka here.
Bola, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Okay. Yes.
Please continue.
So I start with the first file of pattern recognition. Before I start, I think we'll end up with the question answer. So first of all, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity. So I start with the pattern recognition. The today's content, what we'll be studying is the pattern recognition system, the details regarding that. The plant species, the project which I have taken or the details I will be giving is plant species identification using HOG, histogram of gradient, then LBP and the CCD. And one more project is facial expression recognition using HOG. So just a historical perspective we'll go through is you will be surprised to read this particular thing is the algorithm which we are using very successfully nowadays, that is linear discriminant function, linear discriminant analysis, then perceptron. It started almost in 1936. That it was the time when equation by Fisher it was invented, and it was not exactly like classification, but the equation like linear discriminant function, a mathematician, he started using this function. Then in 1957, the perceptron neural network started by Rosenblatt. These are various algorithms and the concepts. Like in 1966, it was Ross decision trees. Decision trees are very useful. We all know about it. 1967, it is nearest neighbor classification, that is NNC or KNNC. It was invented by Cover and Hart. Then in 1995, support vector machine, it is by Wapnick. Then the AdaBoost. And after 2000, I need not tell you because everything is available on the internet facilities. Some books were written which were again and again published. In 1973, very first book regarding the introduction to pattern recognition, that is by Duda, Hart and Stock, was written. In 2000, which the books which we refer now, it was again edited and published. In 72, it was Introduction to Statistical Pattern Recognition. It started quite long back by Fukunaga, a Japanese person. Then 1996, it was Advanced Pattern Recognition by Ripley. 2004, it was Bishop. In 2000, again Duda and Hart, they have written with the advancement, or rather I would like to say Duda and Hart have contributed, they have prepared a system which I am going to show you now with certain slides. Is they have prepared a platform for categorization of two types of fish, which I will be showing now. This happened, and taking that as an example, they have explained all algorithms regarding the pattern recognition. 2004, the latest one is the machine learning Bishop. 2008, data mining, that is Han and Camber. 2009, that is Wunsch, that is the clustering. It is also one of the part of the pattern recognition. This is all regarding the classification algorithms and the books related to pattern recognition. So before I go for next slide, I would like to show you one thing. It's an animation, so you'll come to know how exactly the PR is. These are all, it's animation. Please remember this is animation. These are various types of fish are taken into consideration. These are various lengths and the intensity of around 15 fish samples are taken. It's regarding the length and the intensity. This is the first setup according to intensity and length. The fish are placed now one by one. Actually, I'm not able to show you with this PDF. I will try with the if possible. I don't know whether it is possible to show on the I don't think. Sir, is it, can you see this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, just close that. Yes, no, don't send optional data. It's word. Getting better together.
Mm-hmm.
Please close that. No, don't send. Just select that. No, don't send optional data.
Okay, okay.
Second option, ma'am.
Second, sir. Accept. Done.
Yeah, but actually the way it should
Run
run.
PowerPoint.
Are you getting it? I don't
Yeah.
think it is. I'm not able to run this properly.
Just enable editing and activate. No, don't press activate. Enable editing.
It's asking me for create an account and all. Maybe.
No. Close it. Close it. Just show
Yes,
PowerPoint
sir.
show. Just run PowerPoint show.
Yeah. Can you make out now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. The animation is view.
So this exactly is happening in the pattern recognition system. Initially, we had all of them in sequence on the screen with the all of them are placed according to their coefficients of coefficient of the length and the length and the intensity. So these 16 types are there, and once again fast I'll run through. So one small algorithm is run and all of them are placed according to their length and intensity coordinate, and a straight line we could draw, that is, this is intensity is 125 and this particular length, above this there will be one class, below this there will be one class. So this is what we will be doing in the pattern recognition system. So with this, the main paradigm for the pattern recognition is statistical pattern recognition and the syntactical. So we will be dealing with the statistical pattern recognition. It is most popular and it received major attention in the research work because in real world example there are many times there is noise and we can there is uncertainty. So all these problems are manageable with the help of statistical pattern recognition algorithms. Uncertainty, that is the probability, these are the best tools to deal with the random inputs, and random inputs in the sense when we deal with the noise, or sometimes the signal itself is considered as the random signal. So in such cases, statistics and probability tools are very much useful. So you can have plethora of applications are there, like document recognition, emails, web document. The recent topic nowadays is biometrics. You can just go through it. It is the speech, face recognition, then health records, remotely sensed data analysis, that is satellite imaging. You can find out whether the crop is diseased, how much is the deforestation area. Bioinformatics, like classification and clustering of DNA, protein sequencing. This DNA is a recent one where you can match the DNAs of two different human beings, or maybe even in case of the animals also it is possible. The agriculture, education system is also not away from that. Economics, stock market. It's quite all these patterns or statistical information. Everything is useful in economics, transport, environment, carbon footprints, carbon emission, multimedia data analysis. There are many applications with this. So what exactly we are dealing with is the pattern recognition. We are concerned about the recognition of patterns in the data, and whatever data is, raw data is available. Basically raw data, that is why the statistics is needed. whenever for a researcher, the raw data, ample of raw data is available, and he has to find out certain meaningful information in compact, concise manner, and you get the patterns out of it. These patterns, some values are presented, or they are organized in such a manner that it becomes a feature. And this feature vector or extracted features are very easy to use in case of pattern recognition. So the pattern recognition, it uses the inferences from statistics, probability, then computational geometry, signal processing, and then it will be classified. So this particular field, it supports the developing fields, like you have a computer vision, then image processing, and the neural networks. Okay, so what exactly this is all about, the system and the features. I mean, for example, a ball has got a particular shape of it's circular, or a human being, a typical walking style or the talking style. This can be the feature. So many examples can be given, like for an object, it is shape, size, or color, or texture. For a face recognition, you have eyes, nose, ear, mouth. Speech, speaker recognition. So in case of speech, the typical or very popular and very strong feature will be MFCC, that is male spectral coefficient. It is one of the spectral feature of the speech. This is one of the feature. So these are all examples. But whenever we give this to the, from raw data, the feature extraction is done, and this feature is, whenever it is given to classifier, it is given in form of the feature vector. So this feature vector is given to classifier, and then it assigns the label whether this belongs to class 1 or class 2, and if it is multi-class, then it goes on. But these features should be discriminatory. That is desirable, but in real world it is a bit difficult, and you have to extract, you have to pre-process the input signal. It may be one-dimensional, two-dimensional, then you extract the features out of it and then make use of that for classifying. So this is certain examples are also given. So writing or a signature is also another example, how you get the handwritten or the basically a signature. It's how many number of strokes are there, the way you write, sometimes you press and write, sometimes you just give a stroke. So all these can be treated as the features. A classifier, the algorithm basically which performs the classification based on the extracted feature, it is an algorithm. It can be two-class classification or the multi-class classification. The major task of the algorithm is to find the class to which this particular incoming pattern is belonging. Basic requirement, rather basic desirable requirement is sample from same class should have similar feature value, and sample from different classes should have different values. So this is about the pattern recognition system, the patterns are features, and the classifier. Now there are certain requirements, that is what a good feature should be. At this moment I would like to take you to another file. It's a ready example from Judah and Hart. I told you that they have developed one platform. They have two types of, they have collected many samples of fish. One is sea bass and second one is salmon. Everything is given in this book. The problem statement is sorting the incoming fish sample on a conveyor belt according to the spacing using optical sensing. So what is the requirement? You need a camera, conveyor belt, and take sample images to extract the feature. Few suggested features are length, the lightness, the weight, the number of shape of the fins, the position of the mouth, and etc. So in here we are dealing with only two features. One is lightness and the length. So first of all, I would like to show you how this is. So this you can make out This is a total system where camera is there. This one. Is it visible? Hello?
Yeah, it's visible. Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah, so, and there are 3 fish categories over here. 3 fish samples, not categories. It's not decided. This is a conveyor belt, you can make out. This is a conveyor belt. This one. And this is the first fish, the second one, and the third one. So, what exactly we are doing is we are taking the snap of the fish with the help of this particular system. Then it will be segmented. After segmentation, length and the intensity will be sensed. Then it will be recorded. So what you are going to do is you are going to pre-process, use a segmentation operation to isolate the fish from each another in case of overlap, and then from the background. So select the length of the fish as the possible feature for discrimination. Then measure the length. Then first one, measure the length first of all. So these features are passed to the classifier. Now suppose we have sampled some around 25 to around these many samples are there, and one using length as one of the feature. We have plotted this particular graph as salmon fish feature is indicated by black color, and the sea bass features are indicated by the red color. Now you can make out it's a for particular length, for example 5 centimeter or 5 inches. There are many salmon, but there are sea basses also. In case of for example 20 inches, there are sea basses and there are salmon also. It is such a mess. I mean, you cannot classify. You don't have, you cannot draw one particular line which will segregate the salmon, or that will be used as a threshold, and then you will be segregating the salmon and the fish. So length is a very poor feature alone. So let us think about the lightness as one more possible feature. So lightness, we have just taken it to be. Again here, of course, there is mixture. Less number of samples from sea bass are coming to this side, and some samples from salmon are on sea bass side. If you consider this to be a threshold. Okay, but still there are certain errors. I mean, if you consider this to be a threshold, these are erroneous samples, and even these are erroneous samples. If you consider this to be sea bass and this is salmon. So what is possible? So I have drawn on a, so both the things I have drawn. Length is very poor when length is taken into consideration, and lightness is okay, but there are certain errors. So what we can think of is we'll make one function which will take length and the lightness into consideration. So a fish will not be specified by only length. It will be specified along with the lightness also. So this is the thing. You have lightness and you have the lightness and width. Actually, this is length of the fish. So this is the lightness, width, and hardly 3 samples. I mean, for this particular lightness, you have this length. So these many samples are given. There are, of course, misclassified sample. If you treat this to be a threshold, sample 1, sample 2, and sample 3 are misclassified. Again, on right side where all of them are declared as the sea bass, it is 1, 2, and 3. So on both sides, there are 3 misclassified samples. So this is one of the way to draw the or threshold, or there can be another one which will give better way. Is even in this case there are 2 red color sample, means sea bass is still misclassified, whereas even salmon is also misclassified. Instead, you can as well go for optimal performance is you have this very non-linear drawing. This is possible. So no sample is misclassified here. So this is all about what Duda and Hart have done. Actually, even I tried to prepare same instrument in my college, and I have segregated various shapes like triangle or the rectangular circle this way. So that's what I was trying to tell you. So what exactly is the good feature? Just now we have seen features from different class should be discriminant. Samples from different class should have different feature value. It should be easily interpreted by the researcher. Shorter training times and the dimension curves of dimensionality also should be taken into consideration while selecting the features. So these are the parameters of a good feature vector. Then we can definitely show some of the good feature or the things is you have good feature, exactly discrimination can be done. On left side there are blue color single circles and these are right color circle indicating some sample characteristics. So this is very clear cut. Whether you draw line in this way or this way, it is okay. These are also quite good. I mean, you have just changed the direction of the linearly separable. Though you are changing the direction, it is still linearly separable. Non-linearly separable, just now we have seen in Duda and Hart. Even this is possible. This one. But very bad features are this. They are very clumsy. Any type of classification is not possible. If you are not going for non-linearly, but still it's very difficult. Linear or non-linear separable, it's not possible. This is very, very bad feature. Then how exactly we are going to, and what exactly the pattern recognition system. So instead of going into the theoretical part, I'll just show you this particular diagram. Is sensing the or data acquisition. Just now we have seen the all fish samples are being sensed by the camera. The photographs or the images are taken. Then it is pre-processed because you need to separate them from overlapping. Then segment them, measure the length, measure the width, measure the intensity, and they are treated as the feature extraction. They are the feature to be used for the classification. Then according to the length and the intensity, you are going to classify them, class assignment for each sample. Then the post-processing. In some cases, of course, when we used only length, it was very poor. But when we use intensity, it was slight error was there. So slight error may occur in any type of real example. So that is the thing this error, if we want to correct by going certain or making certain changes into the algorithm or changing the feature length or some correction, and then again you can go through the process. Otherwise, the class will be, that particular sample will be assigned with certain class. So this is all about the pattern recognition block diagram. So the third one, we have seen the classifier. So classifier is an algorithm which segregates the sample according to your class, number of class which are selected. So here, the pattern recognition, the classifier, it can be a classifier or it can be a clustering. In case of classification, basically, we are, suppose you have 100 samples, training and the testing. So you can divide the data into training and testing. From trained data, you have a knowledge, certain abstractions are being generated as the feature. And from that, you can classify the test patterns, incoming test patterns. So this is called as supervised learning. In case of unsupervised learning, it generates the partition of the data, which helps in decision making. It is called as unsupervised learning. The classifiers like SVM, LDA, these are under this. Now we'll go to the case study. Nowadays, the biodiversity and all, we all know about it, like medicinal value of the plants. These are the topics of today. When Ayurveda comes into the picture, there are the naturopathy comes into the picture. Plants have, many plants have medicinal value. So we should know whether this particular plant is having medicinal value or not. And for that, we should know what exactly that plant is. So with basic knowledge, which is this type of plant, and then we can refer to the its backend notes, like if this is the plant name, for example, hibiscus, it is also medicinal value. So that is one of the thing, or aloe vera, that is also medicinal value. So looking, and we all are daily, we see such type of plants we have at our residence also. But some of the things we have not even seen, so we don't even know whether it has got medicinal value or not. So in that particular case, we should be able to identify the plant. And with a big library with lot of training data and its corresponding details at the cloud, we have tried to develop one plant species identification, a case study. So plant, they play a vital role in the environment. Climate change, deforestation are leading to the extinction of the plants. So plant database is a step towards the conservation of Earth's biosphere, helping in protecting the plants and catalog of various flora diversity. You must be knowing that we have a global seed bank somewhere in the Europe. What for we are doing it? The reason behind it is that if some calamities is occurring, so at least we should have that. It's been stored from since lot many years. So in that, what for we are doing? Because we need to conserve the biodiversity or that particular thing. The seeds are to be conserved. So similarly, we need to have this particular process, plant database process, that is rapid and accurate plant identification is very essential for effective study and management of the biodiversity. So there are many botanists who can identify the plant without just looking at it, they can definitely identify. But how many botanists are there? For example, if I go for a family tour in Himalaya and I find some of the very new type of plants. So I don't know what exactly it is, but I want to identify, or I know that it is something new type of, or this thing, or a botanist go, or there is one member in the trip. So botanist is there, he can definitely identify. But if for a layman, it is very difficult. Sometimes as the botanists have very conventional key, which is very complex. So instead we can develop a plant species identification system. Let us go into the next slide. Is limited number of expert botanists or the rapid declining biodiversity? These are the challenges. And basically these are the challenges and we need to find out certain solution for that. Nowadays we have high-end portable devices like digital cameras, scanners, the systems, algorithms. So all of them can help us to implement the concept of plant database. Certain algorithms are also there which can be used for the identification and categorization of the plant species. Now plant consists of many things. It has stem, it has bark, it has various branches of various colors, of various sizes, leaf, flowers, fruits. So what should be used as or which organ should be used for the feature extraction? So some of them, stem is not very, I cannot say very useful, but there is a variation because as the plant grows, definitely size of the stem grows. You can find out the neem or you can find out the coconut tree. The width of the stem is increasing. So different parameters of course can be studied, but the major which are considered till now Lot many people have done research in this one. They have used lot many databases also. So for leaf, these are the databases like ImageCLEF 1112, then Swedish, then Flavia, LeafSnap. This is the one which we have used, LeafSnap. Then FCA, Korean, European. Some of them have self-collected also. We have self-collected of around 150 leaf we have collected. The categories are 17 type of categories we have collected. Then we have a flowers, Oxford 17, Oxford 12, then self-collected database is also there. Then flower in combination, flowers, leaf, bark, fruit, all of them are taken. Certain social image collection which is available on the net is also another way out to find out. What is the statistics? Lot many people have done it, like 13 studies have used the leaf shape. 24 studies you have used the texture of the leaf. The texture, but basically texture changes as the age of the leaf changes or as leaf becomes old. Then 16 studies are using vernal structure. 5 studies are using texture of the flower, the color of the flower, and many possible combination, leaf shape, texture, leaf and flower, color of the flower, texture of the flower, everything. Flower is, we can definitely, we are discouraged with these results because age of flower is very less. Some flowers are only for 1 day. Some flowers, they life is for maybe 4 to 5 days. Roses, okay, not more than 3 to 4 days. Okay, so such type of problems are there, but leaf are not facing much problems regarding this. So we have selected the leaf as giving us certain features. What are the parameters available with the shape? Leaf shape is the diameter, major axis, minor axis, then area, perimeter. We have descriptor like the aspect ratios, then rectangular measure, rectangularity measure, circulatory measure, various ratios like perimeter, area, leaf width factor, area width factor, porosity feature. So these are many parameters. Out of this we have selected as the parameter which we have selected is the HOG. These are the local features. Basically, why again the plants were species identification based on leaf image. Leaf recognition plays very important role. That is, we can definitely use that as a some of them are alternative source of energy, that is a biofuel. Then we can use or exploit their medical use. Early diagnosis of certain plant diseases. This is a major problem all over India. Then, I mean, even right now we are facing this problem. Biodiversity conservation. All these problems can be solved to some extent with the help of leaf recognition system. So the database which we have used is the LeafSnap. It has got both images taken by the mobile camera or controlled light and other sources of high quality, the pressed leaf. What we have selected is we have made to, we have scanned the images. Even those images are used in this. So overall 185 tree species are considered. The features used to identify are HOG and LBP. The classifiers are SBM and LDA. After feature extraction, we have used the classifier learner tool for the classification. The feature extracted will be passed on to the classifier, and you get the accuracy out of it. Overall system can be represented in this one. Image acquisition, the feature extraction by the HOG and LBP. These features are passed on to the training, for the training, and we are using these classifiers for classification and for testing also LDA and SPM, and the output of the system will be classified according to the class level will be assigned to that particular leaf. So what exactly the histogram oriented gradient HOG is? Basically, we all know when we have implemented edge detection also, I mean, whomsoever works in image processing has gone through the edge detection of the images. So whenever we calculate the gradient, that is its gradient in x direction, gradient in y direction. Okay, and altogether we are getting gradient at one particular point on the pixel. So magnitude of the gradient is large around the edges and the corners. We are interested in finding out, I mean, separating from the background and getting the shape. For that, we need to either threshold or we need to find out the edges. So at the edges, the magnitude of the gradient is very large, is quite large, significantly. So edge detection is also sufficient, but sometimes whenever there is no change in the direction, then you get certain lines and all. Sometimes noise also creates the problem. So HOG is basically it is an edge detection, edge orientation histogram based on the orientation of the gradient in the localized region. So we are trying to find out, we are making certain block and then the certain cell sizes and trying to find out the HOGs. So it gives occurrences of gradient orientation in the localized area, that particular cell of the image. So basically the distribution, that is histogram of detection of the gradient or the oriented gradient is used as the feature. I'll show you. So this particular leaf is there. It's only very small portion. This particular portion I have taken out, this one, and tried to find out the gradient. Maybe it's not very visible to you, but this thing is I can show you. I've selected 8 by 8 portion. So 8 by 8 portion, now I'll be explaining. You have this as the gradient magnitude of 8 by 8 area. Out of this, only 8 by, actually this particular area is very small. So I have taken this example. As gradient magnitude of 8 by 8 I have calculated, and corresponding gradient direction also. So this is being calculated. Now how we calculate the HOG? This is the histogram of gradient, this one. What exactly you are doing is we are calculating, we are according to the orientation, we will be incrementing the value. So this is gradient direction. This gradient direction is around 80 degrees. Okay, the value is 80 degrees. So this 80 degrees, what is the corresponding value of gradient? Is 2. Now, I have prepared beans of 9 angles, like 0 to 20. For only one bean I have written. Then it is 20 to 40, 40 to 60, and so on up to this particular value. So there are 9 beans. Now what is going to happen is we have taken all red colors, you can check. 80 angle at this particular point, gradient value is 2. So for 80, this is 80, 60 to 80. So for 80, how much is the value of the gradient? 2. So whatever is the content of that will be added with this. Okay, so if this is the cell size is of 2 by 2, or it may be a block size will be 32 by 32, in that you are going to select the fix up the maybe 4 by 4 cell size or 8 by 8 cell size and so on. So it is as per your requirement. If you want very accurate type of the HOG feature, then you can definitely take lesser number of cells and block size also very less, then you will be getting accuracy. But as you reduce the cell size, your HOG becomes more, because working on 8 by 8 and working on 4 by 4. So 4 by 4, similarly in 8 by 8 only one HOG of 9 beans will be created, but when you go for 4 by 4, you have many 4 HOG you will be getting for that particular block. So increasing accuracy is another parameter, but time required to process HOG is another parameter. So there is a trade-off between these two. So we'll take one more example of this is the angle at the, or gradient direction at this particular point is 10. So its corresponding gradient is 4. So as angle is 10, I have gone to this particular beam. These are all beams, these are all angles. So I'll fix up the angle from 10, I come to first beam. Now whatever content are here, because I mean if I am sliding on the image, I'm sliding on the image. So first block is over, some of the findings are there. Okay, I mean there are certain 80 degrees or 90 degrees gradient value will be corresponding. There are certain values at this particular point. Now the second block. In second block, whenever you come to this particular 10, that is the gradient direction 10 for this particular block, then you have the this particular 4 as the value, and it will be added into the present value. So for this for example, for this particular, you get the HOG in case of 9 values, 0 to 20. You can as well go for this. You can as well go for 0 to 10 or 10 to 20. It's up to you. You may have a 18 value HOG or you may have a 9 value HOG. Accuracy is up to you as per your application and the accuracy required. So this is how you are preparing, and then you are going to visualize that also. I'll show how this just, first of all, I would like to show you. See, this is the diagram after HOG visual, after when you have calculated the HOG and how it looks. So you can definitely make out at these edges. These are the edges of leaf. So accordingly you can make out. These are definite various. Okay. So second parameter which we will be studying for along with HOG, because HOG when alone it is passed to the this thing, I mean the classifiers, the it's not significant. Of course it is good, but it is not significant. So we have tried with LBP as one more parameter. So what exactly the LBP is, local binary pattern, is it is LBP is very efficient texture operator which labels the pixel of an image by thresholding the neighborhood, okay, of each pixel and consider that the result as a binary number. From this diagram it is very clear. You can make out this is the central pixel 54. Then you take one particular direction. You start with 79. If 79 is greater than central value, you give value 1. 92 is greater than 54, you give 1. 49 is smaller than 54, give 0. So likewise you can totally arrange this. Now this is 8-bit information. 11000011. This I have placed and the value is calculated. That is the decimal value which is placed at the center point. So this is the LBP. 195 is the LBP of this particular cell. So these are the image. We can slide over the image and find out. Similarly, for HOG also we can slide over the image and find out. So this is the procedure given for LBP, that is each central pixel is compared with 8 neighbors. Neighbors having the smaller value than that of the central pixel will be assigned value 0 and so on. So for each given central value one can generate the binary number which is obtained by concatenating all these binary in clockwise manner. Okay. So I have calculated both the things. This is the one leaf I have taken. One is HOG visualization. This is calculated for whole leaf. This is the local binary pattern, and this is the HOG visualization. Now this HOG or LBP, individually they are not giving very good result. So we have concatenated them. I have just calculated for comfort, that is you can make out if I reduce the size if I increase the size, I'll be getting 64. This is for 32 by 32. When I get a block size of 32 by 32, and this is for 64 by 64. This is HOG visualization. Okay, so as I told you, I've used the classifier learner tool where the features use the support vector machine and the linear discriminant analysis. What we have actually right now I have not shown, but the HOG it's a one row or one column, anything is possible, and the LBP, both of them are in row. I have given them as a single parameter or feature to SVM, then it gives 83% of the. We have used 150 images. We have just started with this. 150 images we have trained, and around 40 images we have used as the test images. So here LBP is also another parameter. Using SVM, I got 81% of the accuracy. Then HOG individually with LDA as a classifier, it gives 86. LBP with LDA as a classifier, it gives 83. But what we have done, we have concatenated HOG and LBP. Of course, it becomes quite large, around 3,000 to 4,000 it becomes when we go for 32 by 32 block processing of HOG. So it gives, with SVM, it gives 91, and same parameter when it is passed to LDA, it gives 93. So this is regarding HOG and LBP when they are used as a feature vector, with SVM and LDA as a classifier from classifier learner tool. These are the accuracies. Of course, we are going to increase the number of samples definitely from the leaf snap itself. We have we have gone for one more parameter of it. Of course, we have just prepared the feature vector. It is contour based shape descriptor. The LBP and HOG are local features. That is from the window under which we are calculating LBP and HOG are whatever intensities are there. According to that, the HOG and LBP feature vectors will be prepared. Here we are taking the shape measure into consideration. This is also called as the shape signature. Take a close look at this. See, this is a leaf shape. This one. And at this particular point, there is a streak which is attached to the plant. This one. For this, you have to first of all calculate the centroid. We are not at all going for area, perimeter, or major axis, minor axis, their aspect ratio. No, we are only going for digital signature or the shape signature of this particular leaf. Of course, there are certain limitations. I am going to show you the results. Is this one I have shown for the symmetric leaf. But if you think about the neem, कडुलिंबाचं जे पान असतं, it is not symmetric. There is certain angularity for that. Okay, so in that case, then shape signature becomes difficult. Then you have to maintain certain particular direction, and then you have to find out the shape signature for it. Okay, so in this particular case, this is the centroid. Then you have to find out the perfect boundary of the leaf, which is being measured here. Then, if this is the centroid, you have to find out the centroid plus centroid 2. Centroid 2, the point where it is 0 angled. Then centroid 2, the point where it is at 10 degrees. When centroid 2 to the point at 20. These various distances we are going to measure. We know the coordinate of this, we know the coordinate of centroid, and then you can calculate the distance between them with a simple formula. Only thing is that you have to have a centroid of the leaf, and you have to fix up the point which is at 10 degrees or 20, 30, 40, so long up to 180, 190. This I have taken only 180 because I consider the leaf to be symmetric in nature. Symmetric in the sense there is no angularity at this particular point. हे जर कडुलिंबाचं पान असतं तर इथे एक कर्व असा आला असता. Okay, that's not happening. We consider this to be totally perfect symmetry. So distances at various angles. So I just stopped at 180 because this is symmetric. Okay. So what I have calculated, and I'm going to show some of the things. These are the numbers of the figures I have given to my database. I don't know the scientific name of this. I consider this to be leaf number 3.1. So the name in the database is very scientific, and okay. So this is 3.1. Now, if you can see this is a blue dot over here, which is the basically this blue dot represents the centroid of the image, and this is the boundary which is being detected. Okay, now this point from the centroid you can calculate it. All these points and central point will be calculated. So centroid to this point, centroid to this point, and this is the longest one. So this distance is this distance, this one. Okay, so this way I have calculated this for 360 degrees with 20 degrees as the interval. Okay, this is 3.1, similar image 3.2. So you can imagine, you can make out this particular signature and this particular signature are quite similar. So I have around this 3.2, I have around 25 such images, and most of them are giving me this type of shape signature. Now consider about this. Now there are certain challenges also. Can you make out this particular shadow? So this particular shadow is out of, so because of this boundary detection, this shadow also has become part of the leaf, and this one is the centroid. So after segmentation we are getting this, it is somewhere here. Okay, so you are getting this type of signature. So this is the point. You can make out this point is this point, but it is slightly at angle because we are taking straight from this particular point, we are taking 10, 20, 30. So this is more than around 180. This is at more than 180. Similarly for this, now this is the third type of leaf. Here again you have at this particular point we are getting a signature around this one. This is the binary segmented value, image. Similarly for this, now the challenges are starting. How we face the difficulty? It is slightly torn. This one. This is slightly damaged. This leaf is slightly damaged, and you are getting it in this particular way. So these points, because of shadow effect, it looks like it is connected here. Then even so, you are getting the segmented image to be this, like 3 leaf subparts are connected and these are not connected. I mean, these are slightly different. It is not so. The leaf is, every subpart is different. 5 subparts are there. So you are getting a crimsoness over here. So it is not giving digital signature perfectly or shape signature perfectly. So you have to find out, there is certain, I mean, first of all, you have to, where the problem lies is it has to be pre-processed properly. This has to be pre-processed properly, and then you can segment and then find out. So for each leaf, you will get it this way. These peaks we are getting. Okay, so this is how the challenges are occurring. Then similarly over here, we are getting certain challenges because these are the repetitive things. And only 3 leaf are taken into consideration while finding out the centroid and finding out the boundaries for that. Similarly, whenever there are multiple leaf on a single stick, then you are getting such type of problems. This one also. Okay, so this is about the leaf. I have one more application. Okay, by the time I take this, any questions regarding this?
Yes. Supriya ma'am.
Hello. Hello.
Supriya ma'am.
Pooja here.
Pooja.
Shall I take a question, sir?
Yeah.
Later on, we can go for the facial expressions.
Okay. Okay, ma'am.
Yes.
First question. Which
Yes.
one is the best classifier for pattern recognition and image recognition?
Actually, it depends upon your application. Because right now you have seen for LTA, LTA I have used, even SVM I have used, but I'm getting results better in case of LDA.
The second question, what are the research challenges in pattern recognition using deep learning or neural networks?
Deep learning I have not gone through. So I think maybe the person who basically deep learning has got very good performance. So noise and all these problems are taken care of in deep learning and the neural net. But in case of statistical pattern recognition, we are facing certain problems in case of whenever there is a noise.
Next question is, which is most preferable method used in feature extraction for EEG signal?
most difficult feature. Hello.
Hello.
Huh?
Which is most preferable method used in feature extraction for EEG signal?
EEG signal. I think basically will prefer feature extraction depends upon the signal what the raw data, and accordingly specifically for the EEG signal there are lot many electrodes connected. Okay, so in that particular case it depends. I mean whether you are it depends which feature you are using, or rather we can say for which disease, whether you want to just use that as a disease patient or the normal patient, then it is okay. But if you want to specifically talk about certain diseases which you are going to decide from your data, then feature extraction changes.
Okay.
The resolution of the feature extraction also changes.
Okay. In next question, how can we convert the number of pixel of object in an medical image to the volume of diameter?
No, I'm not getting you, madam.
1 minute. Next one. How to compute the centroid of any object?
Okay. Object, madam, these are all ready-made commands in the in MATLAB.
Okay.
You get a big table, statistical table of centroid, major axis, minor axis, area, and lot many things.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. We continue next session.
Just a minute, madam. Just give me 2 minutes because
okay, ma'am.
This is visible to you, madam?
Yes, it's visible. This is
okay. We are going for the second application using HOG. Is facial expression recognition using HOG. Basically, facial expression detection is it's very important from security point of view, and nowadays this is used for the patients also who stay alone, and the robot is used who detects the expression of a patient and tries to react in according to one. You must have listened about the Sophia and all. So it has to detect first of all the expression and then give the answers. So facial expression detection is a combined effort of the, we are using here again same thing, we are using HOG and the SVM as the classifier. Then basically from the face we are extracting three informations patches, that is mouth, eye pair and the nose. Okay, so basically I just repeat this one. The security is essential part of this, why we detect the facial expression. Then it is association between communication between man and machine. Then social communication is also another problem. Voice, facial expression are very important part in human communication, that even verbal. So there is this particular thing, different contribution in of the verbal part, the facial part and the vocal part. So out of these three, facial expression, that is 55%, it is contributing towards the human communication. Okay, so now robot also should interact with the people as a companion. That is the future of in next 15 to 20 years, rather than a machine. Like a companion it should be. So it should be so sensitive, understanding the expression of the person. Then accordingly create his or her, the robots will be creating own reaction. So altogether there are 7 expressions, facial expression. That is some part is already taken by Sangeeta Jadhav ma'am, so I will not be going into the details. 7 expressions are given. These are the 7 expressions, like sad, disgust, neutral, happy, angry and the fearful. So this one is you have Zafi as the Japanese female facial expression, then facial expression research group 3D database, then Ravdes, then these are all Indian semi-acted facial expression, iSafe, then multimedia understanding group, MUG, then Indian spontaneous expression database, and lot many. So out of these 213 images of 10 different females, 7 expressions are there. Resolution of the image 256 by 256. So some of them I have just explained. I'm taking 4 expressions into consideration. So the neutral, happy, sad, then all for 5 to 6 I have taken into consideration. So image acquisition, then face detection, then extract the HOG. Face detection, rather at this particular point it will be the patch detection, maybe eyes, mouth and the nose. Then extract HOG, feature vector, and it will be given as input for the classifier. So it is neutral, happy, angry and sad. Okay. So when calculating HOG, we are calculating with the same I'll be explaining here. So whenever we calculate the gradient, we use the kernel as -1, 0, 1 and the vertical also -1, 0 and 1. So direction of the gradient also does not convey much information, and only gradient also does not convey much information. You'll be getting certain edges over here. Okay, but gradient of the direction also does not convey much information, because whenever you are calculating for one particular pixel, so you are getting lot many breaks and pieces. So that doesn't give any much meaningful information. You calculate only edge detection and the direction for that. You have to process it. You have to interpolate certain points in case of magnitude of the gradient. So that is one of the alternatives. Second alternative can be considered as the HOG, where you are actually calculating the histogram of the angles or the direction of the gradient, and you are preparing a bin of 0 to 180 degrees or 0 to whatever exactly you are getting, 0 to 20, or you can take an interval of 0 to 10 and then repeat for 18 bin HOG you can prepare accordingly. So this, as space is not there, I could calculate only for 3, that is happy, then neutral and the sad. So we have calculated. So Viola Jones will give you the mouth, then eyes and the extracted nose. So mouth is extracted, then the HOG is calculated. From these shapes, you can definitely make out that the shape of this particular object, I mean. Okay, then eyes. Though this is very small patch of image, the expressions are definitely indicated over here. Whenever we prepare the feature vector, we implement HOG for this and prepare the, these are all feature vectors only. IHOG for happy, IHOG for neutral, IHOG for sad. Similarly, the extracted nose. Of course, but when I implemented only with the nose, nose is not at all giving a good information whenever there is a expression. What gives information? First, very strong feature is the lips or the mouth area. You can make out the changes in this particular direction. Okay, so eyes are also speaking a lot. So nose doesn't give much information. So we have considered the mouth and the eye information. We have considered nose individually, then we have combined with this. So then these extracted features like HOG, only we have tried only with the HOG. This gives us the linear, this is the linear discriminant tool. This classification learner application, LDA, linear discriminant classifier accuracy comes out to be 75%. SVM is not working upon this, and the cosine, but my focus, cosine KNN classifier accuracy is also there, but my focus is only on the LDA because LDA is giving better result. So if I remove the nose part of it here, which doesn't give any, rather it is just it is increasing the length of the feature vector, no, nothing more than that. Individual nose doesn't create any sort of information. So I'll try with the mouth and the HOG only, which will improve the accuracy, and definitely only mouth also will be tried, which gives more information. So this will be more accurate as compared. So accuracy increases with reduction in the size, cell size of the HOG. More details are available. Then to capture the small scale information, cell size has to be reduced, and large scale information, cell size has to be increased. But when we increase the cell size, which is which we have to feed in while giving the HOG instruction, HOG feature extraction information, we have to specify what is the cell size. Default value is 4×4. So due to which we may, if we unnecessarily increase the cell size, we may lose some small scale information and the accuracy will be reduced. So smaller the size, cell size while calculating HOG, more details are available and more accuracy will be there, but the length of the feature vector is very high. More size of the cell, then feature vector becomes length but small, but the accuracy also will reduce. So this is how about the face detection. Okay, now questions.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
So, ma'am, questions are there any other methods to get illumination in variant features?
Lot many features are there, sir. Hundreds of features are. SIFT you can calculate. You can calculate for morphological features. You can calculate for the region-based features. So 3 to 4 parameters I have used, and see, feature extraction is not sufficient. There are a lot many ready-made commands in the MATLAB. But
Okay.
you should give, when you give it to classifier, the inferences are very important. Feature vector,
Okay.
HOG, ready-made command is there. You can calculate means, variance, centroid, major axis, minor axis, everything you can calculate. You can calculate SIFT, you can calculate morphological parameters, everything you can calculate. But when you give it to the classifier, then it should give proper result. Otherwise, what is the use of it?
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Next question is LBP feature provide illumination variance?
LBP basically it is a local feature. You are just working on 3x3. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. What are performance measures or metrics for multi-class classification performance assessment?
For performance of any classifier, the error is the major performance measure. If error is more, you have to rethink about the feature extraction. If more error is there, you have to reorganize your feature vector preparation. Okay. And if error is small, if it is acceptable to you, okay, then you can go for the classification.
Okay.
If you remember the iris classification, if you remember that iris classification of the human being based on the iris.
Yes.
Okay. Actually, it is basically it is a patent. If you remember, it is a patent long back in maybe in 1995 or something. That person has converted polar coordinates into the linear coordinates, and then it is called as rubber band stretching. I mean, you have an iris, circular eyes. Okay, that polar information is stretched into a Cartesian coordinate system. That becomes your parameter. That becomes your feature. Okay, what they have done actually, because of occlusion and all, they have not taken 360-degree information. They have taken only lower round of the iris. I tried with 1/4 iris also. The accuracy slightly reduces, but the time required is very less. You can imagine for a circle, 1/4 of the iris is considered as the feature vector. Definitely, it helps you.
Yes. Next question is from Nilima. She is asking how much efficient HOG is for medical image retrieval applications.
I have not implemented that. So you have to apply for it, because there is no uniform feature which gives you proper classification, or there is no uniform classifier which gives you proper classification. It changes application to application. So you can make out for leaf, I am getting with LDA, I am getting classification of around 86. But for the same face with HOG, I am getting around 75.
75. Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, next question is, please tell difference in multi-class classification and biometric identification.
Biometric identification also comes under that, no, sir?
I think yes, the question is not so that much relevant. Okay. Next is from Narayan. He is asking to suggest a source where the learner expression classification data is available.
Data expression, that's what I have shown one of that. I have shown some of the databases also, no?
Okay.
Actually, I would like to add one more thing. These are the databases available. And these are not only expressions. Sometimes it is face, it is along with the video, along with the audio, of 5 to 6 seconds and all. This is available on the internet.
Okay.
I would like to add one more thing, sir. Is in IIT Kharagpur, we all are knowing about the thermal camera. Okay, so thermal camera images are different. So using thermal camera image, there are many facial expression data collection is being done.
Yes.
Okay, and that is being classified.
Thank you very
That
much,
is
ma'am, for
available.
your-
That is available on the IIT KGP. This thing. I mean, website is available. It is available.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. So,
Okay, sir.
thank you, ma'am, for your very informative session. So, I would like to request Amruta, ma'am, to give thanks. Thanksgiving.
Good
Yes.
afternoon.
Please, Amruta, ma'am.
Good afternoon, all. Thank you for speaking to the fourth session of FDP Signal Image and Video Processing a Practical Approach 2020. We are grateful for the time and efforts you took to share your knowledge about the pattern recognition, features, classification, and clustering, ma'am. We understood the concept as you gave it with a different example of fish in terms of length and width. You simply give the actual flow of process in the pattern recognition, facial recognition, and iris recognition. Your commands are especially helpful to those who are doing the research in the same field, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I will get
Thank you,
feedback
ma'am.
regarding this.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So please
Thank you,
mail me
madam.
the feedback.
Yeah. We are supposed to take the feedback tomorrow for all the sessions.
Okay.
After that, we will.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the
Okay,
session.
sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
For all